We are live. Oh, I guess I should turn on. There we go. All right, so I'm just making sure that I am up and running on all of the platforms that we have going on this evening, and we do. The notification just came through that I am live. So I am going to, let me turn it down, number one. And number two, I am going to be sharing this broadcast out. So if you are joining me, please feel free to share this broadcast out as well. No matter where you're joining me from, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, Clubhouse, definitely feel free to chime in. If you're on Clubhouse, raise your hand and come up and be an interactive part of the discussion because I always want to hear all opinions when it comes to any of the topics that I do bring up. I am not here to be right. I'm here to be heard and get the conversation started. So while I work on, there we go, making sure that I can see comments there on Facebook, and I can. Um, I'm also on YouTube streaming live as well. So if you want to see the voice, feel free to come over to Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook. Hello, Shitchar. I probably ain't supposed to be cussing, but that's the name. How you doing this afternoon? Joining me here on YouTube. So, any of the platforms that you want to join me on, you just search at Coach K, COACH, KAY 101, and you will find me. So, let's get into tonight's topic right after I let you all know who I am because not everyone is familiar with me. So, for those who have not had the pleasure of meeting before, or if you've never been able to join one of my rooms, my name is Kanya, but I do go by Coach K. I am a life coach and certified clinical sexologist with two main focuses. I work with women in understanding, acknowledging, and accepting your value worth, setting those personal boundaries. And I do this through self love, accountability, and truly showing you how to own your sexuality. Because the reality is, when you own your sexuality, you show up differently and you are less likely to be wavered in the decisions that you want to make about your needs, wants, and desires. I also work with couples and strengthening intimate literacy. What that means is a lot of times we may be saying the same things, we may want the same things, but because our intimate literacy is not up to par with each other, we miss the boat, causing unnecessarily strain on relationships. Every single Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you will catch me right here, wherever you are listening to me at, for a different topic in all areas of sex, love, and marriage. So let's get into it. Tonight's topic is oral sex mandatory in marriage? I bring this up because I think 2 weeks ago, the room was, I talked about masturbation and marriage, and that sparked a whole lot of discussion. Let me tell you, that discussion was very deep, but it made me think about just reading some of the comments. Well, I wonder how some people feel about oral sex. I can say this, I have talked to a few people, women in particular, that they were extremely clear that oral sex was mandatory in their relationship, or they were not willing to take the relationship beyond being boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever the status is. They weren't going to marry somebody who was not open to oral sex. And so, of course, I put this out to the world. So, what are the thoughts on it? So I put this poll up on my Instagram, and yes, you will still have time to go over and answer it. But of the people that answered, I asked, are you a giver or a receiver? Although some people are both, it came down to I had 3 people that were givers and 2 people who were receivers. And then I also asked, is it mandatory in marriage? I had 6 people say yes, and only 3 to say no. So let's think about that. Approximately 50% of the folks were like, no, but the overwhelming majority was, and yes, my percentages are all, but y'all get what I'm saying. The overwhelming majority of the folks that answered was yes. So then you wonder the why behind it. Is it for simply, the pleasure of how it feels? Is it because there is a sense of openness? Is it truly, I just want what I want? But then you think about the ones that are no. So here on YouTube, it says, as for me, there is no in a marriage when it comes to sex, aside from adding another person. I appreciate that. I guess I could add these on here, but I appreciate you bringing that up because that is definitely something I want to go into. But there are a large majority of reasons why someone would say automatically, hey, no, I'm not doing oral sex. It's just not for me. Could have been the way they were brought up. It could be, for religious reasons. It could be they're just very unfamiliar with it. And one thing that a lot of people don't really consider, but should, it could be a hygiene issue inside of that relationship. That, number one, if there's a hygiene issue that hasn't been discussed, we need to really have a different conversation for a different day. But the truth is, it absolutely could be. And so I love that you brought up that in a marriage, there's no when it comes to sex, aside from adding another person. Well, I think that it is very valid to say that while there can be some no's, so just hear me out on this one. Don't come after me yet. Just hear me out. There can be some no's that maybe one day could potentially turn into a yes, because it doesn't mean that it stops there. If someone says, hey, let's try this thing, and it's like, no, does that mean, okay, done, divorce, let me try somebody else? If you are committed in that marriage, we're looking for the long haul, right? The hygiene, I didn't think of that. Yeah, a lot of people don't think about the hygiene part. When we're talking about a marriage, we are thinking for long term. We're thinking that we're not going to just be together for 3 months, a year, 2 years. We should be thinking long term for as long as we're both blessed to be here on this earth. And so we will have time to explore all of those pieces. Just like with many other areas of sex, there has to be a comfort level that is gained for someone who's not experienced in oral sex. Literally, just thinking about what someone may have been told, what they may have seen on video, just their upbringing in general, they just may not be comfortable with this act at all. So being able to, once you hear that note of asking, hey, we're married, we should be able to discuss this. Can you tell me why you're dead set against oral sex? And it could be something literally as simple as, I had a bad experience when I was younger. Okay, so then you two can work through that. Or it really could be a reason of, I don't know, I just never tried it and I think it is gross. Okay, tell me why you think it's gross. Some people might think, waste comes out of that area. So why in the world would I want to put my mouth there? Oh my gosh. Well, you clean up. One of the most intimate acts that a couple can perform with each other pre-oral sex is bathing each other. So if there is an issue that you may feel like, hygiene ain't there, I'm just not, how would you all wash each other? I think that is super cool, and it's so relaxing, and it's so intimate, and it's beautiful for you all to shower together. And then have that conversation. These are absolutely, here on YouTube, aren't these pre-marriage conversations? 1000%, yes, they are pre-marriage conversations. The 10 ways to I do, which is a premarital coaching program that I have right now, sex and intimacy is absolutely a part of that program. Here's the thing: if you guys are discussing it now and it's a hard no, of the other 9 things that I discuss in that program for premarital coaching program, does that bump those? We're not going to even get to those because of this one. Or is it, okay, if you're dead set on that will never happen, then I would probably say that is absolutely a consideration that you want to have. If you know that oral sex is important to you in your relationship, and this person is a hard no, absolutely reevaluate this before this goes too far. Crazy enough, people feel like talking about sex and intimacy early on in the relationship shouldn't happen. Reality check, it should. Because do you want to find out a year into dating that it's just, I did it once and I'm never going to do it again because I don't like it. The experience is horrible and it's never going to happen again. Do you want to find that out a year in? Or do you want to have those mature adult conversations on the front end? They don't have to be completely in depth, but they can absolutely be surface level. Within the first 3 months of getting to know someone, you have a pretty good feel for if this is someone that will be in your life long term, not necessarily marriage, but long term, or someone that's going to be a short lived fling. Hi, let's have fun. We don't need to talk about nothing but what time I'm going to come over and am I going to bring my whole bag with me? It is what it is. We know as human beings, we know what we feel, we know what we want. Are we sometimes afraid to express that on the front end? Absolutely. Is this a discussion that I feel like should be inside of the dating conversation within the first 3 months? I really do. Again, they don't need to be in depth, but that is something that is a hard, it has to be in our marriage or I'm not marrying you. Then start having that discussion early on. Because here's the beautiful thing: while things will evolve and change over time, because one of the questions that I asked way back was, what are 10 things that you wish you had talked about before you got married? And everybody was like, oh, it doesn't matter if you talk about it. Things change in marriage. So you can talk about it now and it'll change. Well, no snitch, Sherlock. Try not to cuss as much as I usually do, but we know that things will change. But here's the kicker: the conversations that you're open to start now, should they come back up later on in the marriage, it's easier to continue that conversation than it is to just pick it up out of thin air and move forward, which is how a lot of times those itty bitty conversations, or what we think may be small conversations, come up. And it's like World War III. It's like, oh my gosh, how dare you question me on this? Oh, I didn't know that you didn't like that. Oh, I didn't know you want our children to be raised a certain way. Well, because the surface was never scratched early on, now we're looking at a whole different thing. So when it comes to oral sex, and oral sex can be referred to as a multitude of things. Cunnilingus is the act of performing on a female genitalia, and fellatio is the act of performing on male genitalia. Oral sex is anything that is done with the mouth to any of the genitalia or anus area of another party. A very important piece of performing this act is ensuring that you are both safe. Hygiene wise, you want to make sure that all those areas are clean, because like I stated before, yes, this is a waste area. So waste does come out of all of these areas. So you absolutely want to make sure that those areas are clean thoroughly before you go into this act. You also want to make sure that the mouth that is performing oral sex is clean. We don't always think about that. A lot of germs and bacteria live in our mouths. So if you are taking your germy mouth where you just finished eating food, you didn't rinse it out, you didn't mouthwash, you didn't brush your teeth, and then you go and perform fellatio on a guy, and God forbid some kind of food gets into the head of the penis, or maybe you were a little rough and you scraped it with your teeth, and then some kind of food or bacteria or something gets in there, then we got a whole nother problem going on. So these are some things that you want to consider when you're talking about oral sex. So the comment here on YouTube is, I'm a huge communicator. I love talking in depth with a man I'm interested in. Nothing is off limits when we talk. Plus, talking helps you learn how to please your partner if you listen. Bingo, hit it on the head. Yes. Open communication is going to be key. So if you bring up the topic of oral sex and your partner's like, ew, I don't want to do that, then you want to thoroughly discuss the why. Not that you're pressuring them into doing it, you simply want to know why. How can you educate your partner enough where they realize, oh, okay, it's not what I experienced way back when that I had a bad experience with, or it's not this crazy thing that I saw on TV before, or it's not what I heard about when I went to whatever in my upbringing. It's actually a more sensual, more loving, more closeness of intimate act that I am able to give to my partner. And why would you not want to do that? Who doesn't want to be able to share and explore new ways of showing intimacy to their partner? Oral sex is beautiful. Oral sex is amazing. Oral sex is another level of intimacy that you can share with your partner when you're ready. If you're in the midst of having this discussion with your partner right now, maybe have them watch the video just to get the conversation started. Schedule a session. I'm more than happy to be that middle person to have that discussion so you can find out what's going on. Because here's a reality. If there was some kind of trauma that is attached to oral sex, then you absolutely do not want to push that topic with your partner unsupported. So we have to consider all of these potential things when we're saying, hey, it's my way or the highway. In my Intimate Moments Academy, and also coming up in the Fools in Love Couples Retreat, we will be talking about sex and intimacy. And one of the things that we're going to do, I don't like to give away too much of my retreats, but we're going to be doing a yes, no, maybe list. And where oral sex may be in a no column or a maybe column, when we match them all up, we always want to discuss kind of where did this hard no come from? Because believe it or not, even 10, 15, and sometimes even 20 years into a marriage, you are going to still be discovering things that your partner may not have been comfortable speaking about all of their life. And so while we don't think that the topic of sex is vitally important, hear me, it is. It genuinely and truly is very important. You may find out some deep things that you couldn't figure out why was triggering for your partner simply through having these discussions. It's necessary. So, is oral sex mandatory in a marriage? The answer is, for some it is, and for some it's not. There will never be a right or wrong answer to it. I encourage anyone who has not explored this act in their marriage to try it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but at least talk about it. And remember that there's going to be someone who wants to only receive because maybe it doesn't do anything for them. I mean, excuse me, who only wants to be a giver because receiving doesn't do anything for them. And then there's going to be people who are straight up receivers because they just love it, but they may not be open to giving. That's a whole nother discussion. Is it a reciprocal act? It should be. If you are expecting to receive from your partner, you absolutely should be open, ready, and willing to give to your partner. And if you're not, have that discussion of why. Tell me why. There's some people who are just saying, you know what, I just love to give. It just makes me feel good. It actually turns me on. I'm not a receiver. And the reason could be maybe what they receive is not good. Well, you know what? To you, I say that is on you. If what you are receiving is not pleasing you, then a couple things may not be happening. You're not letting your partner know that this is not satisfactory to you. And it is potentially that you are not letting them know how you would like it to be performed. Yes, you have full blown control over your pleasure. And if you're not being pleased appropriately, then it is very much possible that you are not opening your mouth to say anything. If you are receiving fellatio, head, dome, whatever you want to call it, every time you do, the teeth scrapes on the side and you just bear with it and you don't say anything. No, that's not what we do. You have to say something. Babe, when your teeth scrape on the side of my penis, it hurts and it turns me off. What can we do? Let's take some lessons. Let's go to a class. Let's watch a video. Take your lip and wrap it around your teeth. Let's figure out what we can do to get you to the place where you're not hurting me. Have that conversation very sensitively because this is a very sensitive topic. No one wants to hear that they are not performing up to par sexually with their partner. However, you guys should have grown enough to kind of know how to speak to each other. I hope that is the case. And the same with a female receiver. If you are not receiving the pleasure that you would like to receive, then you need to have that discussion with your partner. Remind each one of you, male or female, remind your partner of your body parts. Maybe even before you start, you are touching all of your erogenous zones. You're touching all parts of the penis. You're touching all parts of the vulva and vagina. And you're letting your partner know it feels great here. It feels awesome here. Here, give me your hand. Excuse me. Yeah, give me your hand. Let me let you feel this. This is where your tongue should be. Those are things that you absolutely should be doing with your partner. It's fun. It's educational, but it's fun. So here on YouTube, it says, giving gives me more pleasure than receiving sometimes. I'm such a pleaser. Yeah, it feels good to know that you are performing an act on someone that you are deeply in love with. You can feel the energy. You can feel your partner giving off these vibes of just greatness to you, and it should be fueling you. If you're giving, performing, and you feel absolutely nothing, then there's a conversation that you and your partner needs to have because that's beyond this physical act of what you're doing. That is an intimacy connection that's not happening. If it's gotten to the point where, and I've actually heard this from a few women that I know as the wife, I'm supposed to just do my wifely duties. I want you to really take pause in how you're acting that out Because what I will say to you is your partner knows when you are and are not enjoying something. And if you guys are simply just performing oral acts on each other and there's no intimacy bonding that's happening, there's no energy exchange and of positivity, then it just becomes a chore, which, by the way, is going to be one of our rooms coming up in the future. So definitely don't miss that. So you want to make sure that just like here on YouTube with the young lady who said it gives giving gives me more pleasure than receiving, because you feel that energy come into you, pun intended, when that's happening. Growing that intimacy bond through various sexual acts with your partner is inexplicable. It's something that you two will always be able to share. It's one of those things that if you guys are in a crowded room and you just catch eye contact and you shoot over a look and you all think back to this one amazing night, your knees might get weak. You might get a little moist. Partner might get a little erect. You know, you just get this tingly feeling all through. Those are the various different feelings that you should be experiencing when you're open to exploring and taking your missionary style, doggy style to the next level of oral sex. I don't like to keep you guys too long on here, and I don't see where I have any questions or comments. And of course, well, thank you here on YouTube, Shit Y'all Likes. I appreciate you for being an interactive part of this. Again, I am not here to just be right. I'm here to be heard and get conversations started. So I appreciate all of you for tuning in with me for Sex, Love, and Marriage, where tonight we ask, is oral sex mandatory in your marriage? So next Tuesday night, I will be right back here at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the topic will be, I married a boy / girlfriend, not a husband / wife. What happens when you are married to a boy or girlfriend versus a husband or a wife? That is next week at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you definitely tune in here. So Shit Y'all Likes here on YouTube says, I've been single for a long time. I can't wait to experience all of this again. Yet I know you can't, because you already know how it feels. So it's an amazing and rewarding feeling that we all want as human beings. We are of nature. And whenever we can experience any type of intimacy, especially nonverbal, and this is a nonverbal, unless the moans and groans, of course we lived it, but this is a nonverbal act of intimacy. And for anyone who is looking to strengthen the intimacy with their partner, don't forget to get in the 30 days of intimacy challenge. It is 30 days of 30 ways to express intimacy. None of them involve sex, but every single one of them can lead to it. So if you want to know about that 30 days of intimacy, definitely feel free to, whichever platform you're listening to me on, to reach out to me about that. Also, before we wrap up, don't forget that there are 3 spots left for the Fools in Love Couples Retreat that is coming up March 31st through April the 3rd. Or you can come in on April 1st through April 3rd. It is an all-inclusive retreat for you and your boo to enjoy. To learn more about that, just reach out to me directly. There are only 3 spots left because we're only taking 5 couples so that we can get some real work done. Where this year we're concentrating on communication, sex and intimacy, and doing a deeper dive. All kinds of fun activities, all kinds of surprises that I will not tell you about, but the welcome basket is the one hit that everyone loves. So I thank you all for joining me. Make sure that if you're here on YouTube, you hit subscribe so that you know every single time that I go live. If you are following my pages, I encourage you to cross follow all of my pages: Clubhouse, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And that is at Coach K101, COACHKAY 101. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. I thank you all, and you all have a great night. Bye.